And good evening, everyone. On this Thursday night, it's meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. We have some fog to talk about on Friday the 13th. Oh no, and hey, are you ready for record high temperatures? That's right, record highs are in the forecast, and in fact, not one day, but there's going to be at least 3 chances of record highs in the region over the next 3 days. And then an update on the snow. Make sure you bring your questions. It's an interactive process right here on Hutch's live broadcast. Let's talk weather, and let's get started right now with a look at what we have going on. Today's weather, absolutely stunning. Check out these high temperatures across the NDON network, or the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network. Coolest in the extreme Northern Valley. See that little white line? That's a freezing line. Actual temperatures today reached, well, only levels below freezing there. How about for Grand Forks? It was 39 wonderful degrees. Here's that line of where we definitely have some colder weather, a little more snowpack on the ground, keeping things, well, a little cooler there, as well as some patchy fog that's been around the region. 40 Fargo, 40 as you look out towards the Detroit Lakes area. How about 36 in Maybe, 36 in Roseau, and 41 out there near Badette. And out to the west, it was really mild where you see these yellowish colors. We're kissing 50 degrees in Mandan and also in Minot. How about Jamestown? Yep, beautiful mid-40s there. 48 in northern parts of Barnes County, north of the Valley City area. So that's what's going on there. Hey, thanks for watching, Clint Moe. It's sure good to talk about you or see you on here joining me. Drop a comment, throw a heart on there, and like the video if you like what's going on here. Now, let's take a look at the visible satellite imagery, and it kind of matches up with some of these high temperatures that you see here today. Here's a little bit of leftover remnant snow between Bismarck and the James River Valley, but as this rewinds and goes back to the beginning of the plague boot, look at all the heavier snow. Western parts of Minnesota and into central Minnesota, there's quite a bit of leftover snow there. That's going to limit the daytime highs because sunlight just reflects right off of that. And also, it's going to keep things a little bit cooler because the energy from that sunshine goes into, well, melting snow and evaporating the water in that snow. So those are a couple of reasons why our eastern counties will stay a little bit on the cooler side as we go through. So let's talk a little bit about the fog forecast, shall we? We're going to do that with a look at that forecast for the fog right now. Now, as we go through the nighttime hours, the chance of fog is greatest right here where we had those cold high temperatures today below freezing. And there's going to be freezing fog as well, creating things like hoarfrost and rime ice on trees across the area with the light winds in place. And some of that frost can form on your sidewalks and roads. So keep that in mind as we go through the evening hours. Hey, I see the comments coming on the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Hey, are you watching on Facebook? Throw a thumbs up, throw a like, and give me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. So as we set the fog into motion, check out where things set up tonight. As we head into the, well, late night hours here, we're going to see that really stay up to the north where you see the dark reds. That's visibilities that are a little lower on that scale out there as we're looking at visibility that are going to be under a quarter of a mile in these spots. Not everywhere, but in places. As you look elsewhere, we'll have limited visibility in isolated places of patchy, dense fog in the forecast. Now, we'll take this through as we go through the overnight hours. And how about that? Heading into your Saturday morning, it looks like the fog will still linger around. So Friday morning, Saturday morning, still a chance at fog in areas where we have that snowpack on the ground. And that's the way that looks. Now, let's take a look at that 7-day planner because there's a few things to talk about, and I don't want to make you wait till the end for this. There's too much Olympics going on, for crying out loud. Okay, records. What records? Yeah, we're smashing record chances here over the next few days. A wise forecaster once told Hutch, never forecast record highs. In the way distant future, that's a really good thing, but it looks good and solid that our records are gonna fall like an apple out of the tree in October. That's right, big time falling temperatures. Look at the record for Fargo as we go through Friday. We're gonna kiss it. Wow, 46 degrees, I'll take it. How about that? Then as we head into your Saturday, how about 49 degrees, the record 42? That we should break or smash or obliterate with a lot of hearts on your Valentine's Day. So chance at some records on an unlucky Friday the 13th, and then a lucky Saturday the 14th at 49 degrees. What? I have a 50 burger flipping here in the FM area or very close to us. I think we're going to see a decent shot at near 50-degree weather. And look at that record. Wow, did you look at that? 40 degrees, obliterate it. And we'll keep the orange tab on there because temperatures will still be nearly 20 degrees above average as we go into Monday. And then, dun, 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 This is what we really need to talk about, and this is going to be the focal point of our discussion today. I am not forecasting a foot of snow in any particular location. I'm telling you, though, that we have a storm system that over the last several days has had models teeter-tottering on what they think the track is going to be, how much snow it might make, and we're starting to see some changes in that. And we're going to go over that right now. And this is where I love to have your input on, do you like the forecast delivered this way? Or if you'd like to know other things about this and how it might impact your day, drop a comment or a question in when we get to that point. Temperatures will be on their way down as we start the early portion of next week. On Wednesday, it looks like we're going to have areas of everything. Mixed precipitation, maybe rumbles of thunder in the region. Yeah, that's right. I can predict it that far out because with temperatures like this and the transition going through, plus a storm moving through, we'll have the ingredients maybe for some of that type of precipitation working its way into Wednesday. So Wednesday, increasing clouds, very gusty winds, and areas of mixed precipitation, rain, and flat out moderate to heavy snow. So that's what the plus sign is there for, areas of heavy snow and wind. Will it hit Fargo? Will it hit Grand Forks? Will it hit Devil's Lake? Will it hit Roseau? Will it hit Bemidji? And what about Sisseton? We want to know it all. Well, I'm going to show you where it's more likely rather than less likely because I can do that with some confidence today. And we'll talk about why. And then this system will last into Thursday as it kind of parks over us for a while. That has me worried. More so in the fact that we could have a snow producer continuing to bring insult to injury as we head into Thursday. And not only that, we have a couple of other chances of snow after it as our storm pattern as we go to the last half of the month looks to be a little bit more stormy, I shall say. And now let's take a look at what we're talking about with regards to this. Hey, thanks. Good to see you, Clint. Good to see you, Cheryl. Thank you very much for joining. Warren, good to have you on. Simon, Vicky, and Chris, right? 41 in Campbell. Wow, no fog and just beautiful. Working on them suntans. Karen says, loving the weekend. Me too. What's not to love with that when it's, well, just that special Valentine's Day, right? A lot of you out here are dropping comments, and we'll get to some more questions here in just a second. Right now, we're going to talk shop, weather shop. Let's talk a little bit about this storm system on a big picture here, and we're going to take a look at a USA view of the European model. And now we have quiet weather as we go through the weekend, as you've already seen in the forecast. But now as we take a look at the latest European model, what you're going to notice is a couple of things here. Bear with me while I load this up here. Okay. Check this stuff out. Now, as we go through, quiet weather continues. Boom. Colorado moves through the southern plains, and bam, you can bet this is going to be a producer of some severe weather heading into Saturday afternoon and evening. Where? East Texas, Louisiana. And look at this. See that warm front right there? These storms out ahead of the main line and right there could have some spin to them, folks. So we could have some severe weather working its way through portions of southern and central Arkansas, all the way into parts of Mississippi and Alabama as we go through the overnight hours. For us, shh, quiet, says Hutch. I like quiet, especially on weekends, especially on Valentine's Day weekends. Storm track through central Canada stays out of our neck of the woods, and it does look like we'll see some impactful weather in the New England states. Big time dive in the jet stream out to the west. That's going to change it to a very wet pattern and very heavy snow potential in the Sierra Nevada, the mountains of portions of both Washington state, but particularly more so Oregon and down into California. This storm system, as we go into the 17th, will be ejecting through the Rockies, and as it does, notice the position of the low here on this European model. This has it moving through parts of South Dakota. That's going to set up the snow machine up to the north where things will be a little bit cooler. Remember, our cooler air is positioned right here, and this is critical. Where the snow melts and where the snow doesn't melt is going to really set up the area of where that temperature change is going to be. And that's critical because where we have that cold air sets up almost a ramp. You can think of it as when you were, 9 riding your bicycle and you made a ramp and you jump over stuff. Same thing goes with air. Cold, dense air doesn't want to move. And then that warmer air rising up towards it, it rises up over the top of that cold, dense air because the cold, dense air is lazy and it wants to just sit there. And it's that ramp, and where it sets up is where we're going to see that enhanced snow along with other dynamics in the atmosphere. Now check this out. As we put it into motion, whoop, this low splits into two. I'm going to back this up again. You see this one kind of just forming out of Colorado? Okay, so we're going to stretch out the energy of this system into two low pressure centers. one here, and there's also upper level dynamics going on. And not only that, we have warm southerly air with mixed precipitation and ice. Wisconsin, southern Minnesota. So the southern half of Minnesota, the Southern Valley, could see this system start out as rain, sleet, thunder sleet or thunder snow, and then boom, heavier snow as it works its way through the region. Now, the track of this still could change somewhat, but we're seeing this very elongated area of snow. Why? Low pressure center here, low pressure center there, low pressure center there. We're spreading this out over many days, hours, and over a pretty broad area. Where you see the dark blue here, that's the heavier bands of snow setting up. I'm not going to get too particular about what town it's hitting or why or where, but that system exits by the time we get to the morning hours on Thursday. And as far as wind goes, you can see those isobars getting friendly from the south or from the east as the low makes its way through. And I don't really see a back ripping north wind on the backside of this system with the European track. I'm going to compare that directly right here, right now. All right, sorry about that. I won't sing anymore, I promise. Well, maybe. I'll try not to. Just remind me. Okay, now here's a look at the American model. I want to go back and compare apples to apples, so we'll grab the models that ran at the same time. Here we go. Very similar, only a little farther north. And you'll notice that this particular model has the low as we go through Tuesday morning, starting to spread out into 3 areas of low pressure. And here's 2 distinct areas of low pressure, one in Wyoming, one down here in Nebraska. South winds, rain, showers, sleet, maybe some rumbles of thunder associated with that. Boom, do you see the heavy precipitation band? When this sets up as we go through the afternoon of Tuesday and into Tuesday night, we could get some of that thunder snow type of precipitation from a storm like this. These Colorado lows or Rocky Mountain lows can dig moisture out of the Gulf, wrap it up over the top of colder air in place. And again, where the ramp sets up is critical to where we're going to see this storm. And Simon's calling it a beautiful storm. Rebecca, always trust your weather reports. Can do. Beautiful day today. And thank you for your trust. It's not taken lightly. I work hard to do my very best to both describe the weather across a pretty large area. There's a difference in the 2 models here. This American model versus what I just showed you. And if you missed this or catching late, don't worry, go back and watch it and you can compare with me. But you're going to see this bullseye here. A lot of isobars, a lot of wind from the east. Why is this important? It's similar to the European model, but different. The European model had a low up here, a low here, and a low here, stretching this out. This is a much more intense pattern with some very heavy bands of snow along northern North Dakota and northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. Carrying this through as we go through Wednesday, it looks like we get that wraparound, very gusty north wind, concurrent or at the same time as snow. This could mean whiteout type conditions and snow that blows and drifts. Meanwhile, it's raining in parts of the Southern Valley on this storm system. Do you see it? The rain showers, the mixed precipitation, possibly some areas of icing to be concerned about if this does transpire. So this is the American model again, and it has a much more focused, organized storm center moving through the region, meaning more wind and more intense snow rather than spreading it like a piece of Laffy Taffy over several states and provinces. So which one is going to pan out? I am not certain. But what I do see is a congealing of where these models think the snow is going to be the most snowiest. So we'll compare the models, and I threw a third one on here. American model, this is a timestamp at noon on the 18th or on Wednesday. You can see that here on the American model, a focused storm with north winds, really bands of moderate to heavy snow, and then persistent snow of the light to moderate variety on the backside of the storm. Big time heavy snow here from the European model, stretching from the Red River Valley and off into portions of northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota. And here's the Canadian model, not quite as strong, but it does have that northerly wind component on the backside, whereas that European model stretched this along a long axis from northwest to southeast with more of a southeast or easterly wind across the entire area and no ripping north winds at all. Very interesting differences. Which one could happen? Any of them could. I do like the European model. It has been fairly consistent, and now we're seeing very consistent pink digits. What's that mean, Hutch? Well, let me tell you. When we see these are snapshot forecasts of each model's forecast for snow. They're not really a forecast that the meteorologist puts out because we can't really count on these numbers panning out each and every time. It's not prudent to do that. But what we are seeing is more of a consensus towards a band of heavy snow in northern North Dakota and northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. All three models, the Canadian, the European, and of course the American model, are showing this. That means, well, these pink colors here would indicate snowfall amounts that could exceed 6 inches, 8 inches, and some of these models are stamping 1 to 2 feet in isolated places. Here's what Hutch can tell you. We need to calm down. If you're seeing certain folks saying that we're going to have 2 feet of snow in places, it's just too early to tell that. And in fact, that doesn't often happen in our area in North Dakota. So what more often happens and what the model does is it overshoots the aerial coverage of the snow. It makes it look like this entire area will get heavy snow. This model does the same thing, makes it look like a huge area gets heavy snow. And this one, a huge area getting heavy snow. More than likely, what is going to happen is we could have a very, very narrow band, maybe 40, 50 miles wide, that gets some snow enhanced. And it really depends on the exact track and where the ramp is, where the heavy lifting is of the storm system. We don't have a clue about where that is just yet. But now, this is again, snapshot forecasts. And one thing I showed you yesterday is that we can take several runs of one model that started earlier today, and we run it several times, nearly 20 times. And then we put little errors into the input data and see what the average is. Notice these snow totals here are saying 2, 4 inches. Don't worry so much about the numbers, but why, Hutch, are these lower on this European forecast model? Why is it showing 4 inches? Is that all we're gonna get, or will we see more? Not sure yet. But what I can tell you is when you run a model several times, 1 or 2 run might have 0 for the snow amount in this particular location, and another one might have 12 inches. So the average of several runs ends up being somewhere in the middle, 4 or 6. So it really can throw the total too low on these models just because it's going back and forth. So just keep that in mind. These forecasts are not forecast amounts for snow, but it does show us the average of several models, and it does show that this might be the area of being the most concern. Now, not just the Euro, but factoring in American and Canadian models and many, many more models now. And the closer the storm gets to around the corner or within that 3-day window or so, we'll start getting more high resolution modeling of this storm where we can pick out the narrow corridors a little more clearly where we may see the heavy bands of snow. So when we factor in all the models, by the time we get to Thursday, February 19th, I had a graphical error yesterday where I had the wrong date on there. My apologies, and thanks for pointing that out. This one is starting to show some pink numbers on here. And this average of several models showing the northern tier of North Dakota, mainly north of Interstate 94, mainly north of Interstate 94 in Minnesota, with the chance of the heavier bands of snow as we go through Thursday and into Friday. Now, I did mention that there was a chance for a few more flakes of snow on the backside, and to do that, I'll take you right back to the European model, and we'll go ahead and take a peek one more time at the far out range in the forecast, just showing you. Don't time this out and don't plan on this, but it just certainly is leaning towards a stormier track. So after our midweek storm, Wednesday into Thursday, that stretches its way through, pardon me, I got to get a different model run that goes out farther. Here we go. Okay, so after the midweek storm that stretches its way through, then there's a cell that shoots up through the Great Lakes. Here's another one working its way in and around the 20th or 21st. Could be more impactful to the Southern Valley and Southern Minnesota than the first storm was, a little farther southern track, a little more south to the track. That can happen, and I believe this because if we lay a fresh layer of snow down and healthy amounts across the northern half of the region, it's going to bring that cold air ramping down a little farther to the south. So that certainly does make some sense. And as we take this out even farther, we see the unsettled weather from the Pacific Northwest rumbling through as we get toward the close of the month. So we have at least a couple of chances of snow between now and the end of the month of February. Let's answer some questions. Thanks so very much, Kay. Good to have you on board. Hey, Hutch, Facebook is what we're saying there. And getting the grill out, that sounds awesome, Clint. I'd love to have the byproducts of that. I'm not seeing a lot of questions. If you do have questions, drop them now. Paula, thank you for sharing stars with Hutch on the Facebook channel. Let me go over your forecast digits now because I didn't do those yet. And here's what you can expect. In the morning, some areas of fog, mainly north, as we talked about. 16, a few teens as we go up through the northern reaches of Minnesota, northeast North Dakota. 22 Fargo. We'll have 25 or so in Valley City, Jamestown, and Bismarck, Mandan. And across Minnesota, the white colors you see here, generally closer to 20 degrees with a few areas in the teens out there. Watch for slippery roads as we go through the start of your Friday the 13th. Temperatures rocking 55 to 60 in the western Dakotas. Here's that boundary we were talking about on the visible satellite imagery showing some snow on the ground and therefore cooler temperatures in those areas that will challenge 30 degrees as you get into places like Grand Forks and the Devil's Lake Basin, but be into those low 30s and maybe even upper 20s in northwestern Minnesota. That warmth extends into Lakes Country, Fergus Falls, enjoying those 40s. How about 51 there for you folks in Wadena? Beautiful in Babe the Blue Ox Country in Bemidji. 46 gorgeous degrees. That extends all the way out towards Hibbing and Duluth. Fairly warm with the Twin Cities flipping a 50 burger as well. And one more look at Hutch's 7-day planner showing that we have beautiful weather through the weekend into Monday, and then we turn the page into a little bit more of that stormy pattern as we talked about. I've highlighted these in red to let you know that this is a impactful weather day as we go through Wednesday and into Thursday morning before it exits and leaves us in a cooler pattern. And depending on who gets the snow and how much, these digits, these temperatures could vastly change as well. So you see, it is not just the ability to forecast snow accurately and precisely when it comes to the amounts gets harder or more difficult for computer models and meteorologists out beyond day, say, 3 or 4. Also, because of where the snow falls can impact temperatures so greatly, we could also say that it's pretty hard to forecast the temperatures out that far as well, simply because it depends on where the snow falls and where it doesn't. Derek, thank you very much. Thanks, Hutch. I seen 2 feet of snow from this system from the Weather Channel. Derek, it's not impossible that somebody sees 2 feet of snow, but I want you to think about something. In a 24-hour period in our area, it's extremely rare to get 2 feet of snow in one spot in a 24-hour time. Now, if a storm drags through a couple of days, we could certainly get that. And has it happened before? The answer would be yes, but it's not very common. We'll be watching for it. If there is going to be that type of snow and amount of snow, then the best chance for that is going to be up here in northernmost North Dakota and right on the border with Manitoba. Notice Manitoba, it's not shoving a bunch of snow on the American model up your way, but if you look at the European model, if you look at your very own Canadian model, there's a better chance at some snow. And the European model doesn't get into the real heavy dark pink colors until we get into parts of eastern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. And comparing this model, now this one looks a little bit more like the American model. Heavy dumping in parts of northern North Dakota and in parts of northern Minnesota as well. A little too far out to get too excited, but it does look like very impactful weather. It could very well be winter storm capable. Winter storm warnings are issued when we're expecting upwards of 6 to 8 inches of snow and very difficult, if not life-threatening conditions. And that's what a warning is reserved for by the National Weather Service. They issue warnings when life or property is at risk. And I can guarantee you, I'm watching this for you producers out there, because for a lot of you, wind and snow in calving season is not good. And if we're not there for some of you, depending on what it is that you're expecting to have out there for your livestock as far as what's being born, horses usually a little later in the spring, but either way, livestock, big time snow, wind and cold. The wind looks to be coming from the east or maybe northeast with this system. We could have areas of gusts over 40 miles per hour, and we could have drifting snow. So that's just a couple of the impacts that we could see from it, as well as those impacts on travel across the area. Warren says, noticed all my water puddles appeared from 3 p.m. to 6 this afternoon here in Jamestown. Snow is gone from the yard already. Amazing. That's cool. need more snow, and there's a chance of it, but the chance is greater north of you. And I've heard from more people in your area, Warren, about how dry this summer has been for you. So it's something that certainly could make a difference for you. Rocky Balboa, I am driving from Rapid City to Fargo on Thursday, the 19th. Rapid City to Fargo. Heading back to Rapid City Tuesday, the 24th. Do you think I will run into travel trouble? Hutch says travel trouble is indeed possible, but if you notice here on the snowfall with this system, and this would be Thursday, snowfall by Thursday at noon, the area that might be the best way to travel, Rapid City off to the west and then northbound. Getting up into North Dakota, you could run on Thursday into some issues there. So again, Rapid City to Fargo looks on the 19th like not as bad of a problem if you go westbound on 9. And that's just the way it looks right now. This certainly could change a little bit. And in both cases, the closer you get to Fargo, the more impacts that you will likely see along your route, Rocky Balboa. The 24th, we'll leave that out on the 7-day forecast. We're only going out through the 19th, but I did show that extended forecast of the European model showing unsettled weather into the 21st, and again, another system coming after that, so I'll keep you posted. All right, Matthew, good to see you. Can you add a current snow depth chart to show how it impacts temperatures? Did you ask this the other day? I did do that yesterday, and I'll see if I can pull it up just once again here. So bear with me because I like to answer questions in real time, but what I need to do is pull up my content for you here. Let me see, boop-a-doop-a-doop, while I'm looking down at very small print on my monitor here. Yes, I can definitely do that. Okay, give me 2 shakes of a gopher tail. Well, better give me about 12 shakes. We'll look at it here. Okay. Let's do that. There we go. Now I can see it. All right. So we're looking at some national snow depth. Here is what we're going to look at. I'm going to put this on my screen. I'm going to make it very big, so it might look a little grainy. And now let me put this on the monitor for you here. So as we take a look at what's going on this, let me pull up the right graphic. And I appreciate your question. Thanks so much for asking about this. Whoopsies. Let's go over here. There we go. Oop, that's a different monitor also. There it is. Okay, so this is a snow depth analysis, and this is from the Office of Winter Prediction. Rocky Mountains, Northern Rocky Mountains, where you see the purple colors, that equates to deeper snow. And into the purples, we're talking 30 to 40 inches of snow. In our neck of the woods, we don't have a lot of snow depth or snow pack in the area. As you take a look at the light blues, that's generally 2 to 4 inches of snow. The darker blues that we see between 4 and about 10 inches of snow in some pockets there. And that's why things have been so much colder in these areas. And that's also why things have been so much warmer. With high temperatures hitting the 40s and 50s out to the west, we're going to likely see some 60s for some of you, even into southern Minnesota. So I hope that helps, and I hope that is exactly what it was you were looking for there to explain why. I also use the visible satellite imagery when we started off this broadcast to talk about what we actually see on the ground with the visible satellite imagery. And that really can make a difference. It is a forecasting rule of thumb that I learned a long time ago. If more than, say, 50% of the ground is covered by 3 or 4 inches of snow, then getting to 50 degrees is almost impossible unless you're getting a strong downsloping wind. I found that to be true most of the time, but not every time, because rules like thumbs were sometimes made to be broken. So that is a look at your forecast. That's a look at that graphic. Let me double check if there's any other questions here. And thank you once again for your question on that, Matthew. I appreciate it. Boozoo, Stephen, good to have you on board. Thanks for watching. And Psalm down here says, what about the chances of snow on the 25th through the 28th, or is that too far? There is an unsettled pattern that lasts right through the end of the month. It's not snowing every day, but there's about 3 or 4 waves of snow, depending on the model run we look at. One that's coming in on the late 17th, but really lasts mostly on the 18th and into the early 19th, a break. And then somewhere around the 21st, we have another one making its way through. through. And then again, as we get in closer to the 28th. So not every day. How much snow next week? Well, we've been talking about that. And Crystal, it looks like there's going to be some spots with some measurable snow, significant snow, and the chances of seeing spots with 6 or more inches of snow, 4 or more inches of snow appears to be quite likely. Now, as 3 models are showing areas of pink or heavy snowfall potential with its coming through, it no way is going to be in this huge of an area that gets that much snow, but we will likely see the potential for a narrow band of very heavy snow. Some of us getting nothing. Down south, we could end up with some rain. We could get some thunder snow taking place, and that can lead to some heavier snowfall accumulations fairly quickly. That is a look at your weather. Thank you so very much for your questions. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson, and I do got to take 1 minute and ask you, do you have my brand new weather app yet? What do you think of the weather app? Drop it in the comments. And if you do like the videos here, make sure you're hitting the like button, share it with a friend. And did you know you can share the weather app with a friend as well? I want to point out that on the app up at the top, there are 3 buttons that you can push when it comes to the app. And when you push those 3 buttons, you're going to be able to share the app with friends. And I am asking you all, about 10,000 strong, to share the app with friends and let them know that Hutch is here watching the weather for you. So as we take a look at the old weather app here, let me pull this puppy up. I wanted to show you how you can make that happen. So if you open the app up here on the screen, let me go back one. There it is. Okay, so you open the app up, and there's a couple of ways to do this. But once the app opens up, there are now it's coming into focus. 3 dots up at the top. If you click the 3 dots, this is an opportunity for you to share the app. So click share, send it to friends, pass it along and say, hey, did you know Hutch has a weather app? That really helps Hutch grow the app and get that out to more and more folks out there. So thanks so very much for making weather a part of your day. And it's a great tool for you because on Hutch's weather app, there's this road report brought to you by my friends at OK Tire Stores, your regional partner in making sure that your tires can get you through the weather that we have here in the region. And every state in our region and province in Canada is covered on this one app. You can click on any one. So if you're traveling over the hills and through the woods from North Dakota to Minnesota and down to Iowa, it's all right there on one app and ready for you. If Hutch is going live with a video, those videos are updated. You can watch me anytime, anywhere, camping, wherever. I'll keep you up to date with the very latest. And also you can support me by ordering Hutch's gear now. Thanks to all of you who've shared stars with me on my social channels. But now you can take home some fantastic gear by clicking on the Hutch Gear button on the weather app, and boom, you get to the product overviews here. And on the website, you can also order my brand new, just announced rain gauges as we head into the rainy season that come in handy, and it measures it down to the 1/100th of an inch. So head over to Hutch's Gear shop online on hutchesweather.com or right here on the app, and you can order all kinds of goodies, including, well, gear with my good buddy Pedro, the prognosticating pooch. Thanks so much for being a part of Hutch's weather. Thanks for considering traveling with me. What? Yep, Hutch is going to Norway as we head into the summer months in August, 16th through the 26th. Would you like to go along? That is a destination for me with my Norwegian heritage. I've never been there before, but it's something I've dreamt of since I was a young person. And we have a guided tour by a local expert, Frode Tilden. I'm going to let you see more about him, but head over to my website, click on the Norway flag to get more on the itinerary and watch a webinar with contact information to contact my friends at Bricky Tours and Travel. Here you go. Guess what? I'm heading to Norway with my friend Frode, and we want you to come along with us. It's August 16th through the 26th of this year. Frode, where are we going to see?
Well, first of all, we're going to the capital of Norway in Oslo. Then after that, go over the mountains to Flum, Bergen, Molde, and Trondheim.
So much to see in between, and lutefisk included, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, you can head over to my website today or my app and find out more information, or call our friends at Brecky Tour and Travel today.